So today we're going to do a tonal study of whichever image you've chosen to be the source of inspiration for your design unit. So we're going to start by marking out our image. Now if you're able to print off your picture, that might make it a little bit easier, but don't worry if you don't have a printer, you can just do your drawing looking at the image on a screen in front of you. If you are working from a picture, you can do it like I am and kind of almost measuring out with my pencil where the top and the bottom of the shape would be and each side. If you're working from the screen, you can just decide how large you want the picture to be on your page. So my next step is I'm going to start sketching out the basic shapes of my image. So whatever picture it is you have chosen to draw, think about how could you break it down into a few large shapes. So I'm doing this kind of blue flower, so my main shapes would be, I've got 3 petals and the green stem. So I'm starting with the petals at the sides, which kind of curve over, so I'm just doing a very rough, very light, sketchy shape for that. And then I've got that large central petal in the middle. Now I'm going to start going round each of my very light sketchy shapes and start putting in a much more detailed, defined outline. So this is where I'm observing really closely from the image that I've chosen, and I've picked one that's got quite a complicated outline. It's got lots of little kind of twists and turns, so I'm really following along closely. And you'll notice that once I draw one shape, I always go to the shape which connects to it. So I'm like gradually working my way across the image, going from one shape to the next one, observing the outline. And it's gradually building up my picture. And every so often I'm just going back in with the rubber and taking out any of those little sketchy lines that I don't want anymore. Now I'm happy with my outline. I'm filling in some of the little finer details within each of my shapes. So I've got all these little tiny sort of ruffles within each one of my petals and some really thin little kind of veins that I'm filling in as well. And then I'm just giving it one last wee tidy up with the rubber. And there we have, that's my line drawing all ready to start adding in some tone. So when I'm ready to start shading, I'm going to begin with the darker areas. So I'm looking for places where there's shadow on my image. Since I'm working from a colour picture, that can be a little bit more difficult to see than if you're working from a black and white image. So if you are working from a coloured picture, if you kind of half close your eyes, the darker, shadowier areas will jump out of you, and so will the lighter highlighted parts. So I'm starting with the shadows, that's what I'm really going to be working into it. And you'll notice I'm doing just little, very, very small pencil strokes, and this will help your shading be a little bit smoother. If you do great big pencil strokes, it'll be a little bit harder to control and it might look a little bit more scratchy. So if you're wanting your shading to look a bit smoother, little small pencil strokes. So I'm just gradually filling in each shape with its tone, always looking at my image I'm trying to make sure I've got a good range of tone. So working from dark to medium to light, and there's some places that I'm just leaving completely white where I want them to be really highlighted and really stand out. I'm also thinking about the direction of my pencil strokes. So my petals have got almost a little bit of a grain to them. So I'm trying to do my pencil lines going in that same direction. And sometimes I do turn the page around to help me get a sort of better angle. So I'm just going to keep going, working my way through each shape of my drawing, adding in the tone. Now I'm just going to go back in with my pencil and darken up any shadows that I feel I want to stand out a wee bit more, just make a bit more contrast. And then one last tidy with my rubber, take away any wee smudgy bits around the sides. And there we have it, there's my finished tonal drawing.